Hi everyone, how are you? Okay, so today we are talking about how to reach millennials, and we've got 5 marketing tips for you that I know that if you use these and follow these, they will strengthen your brand and you will be able to reach millennials in a much more effective manner. So I'm going to tell you that how this came about is because I feel as though we all know we have to market to different segment groups, but millennials have some things that are a little different and a little bit more current than what you probably have been accustomed to in the past. And it kind of made me this week it made me think about it more so because I went to 2 concerts. One was for boomers and one was definitely for millennials. So it was, it made me think, how different the world has got in marketing. And what I did even 3 years ago is so different than how I would go to market today. And so this is the reason why I just thought, you know what, I'm going to just come up. I know the tips. I know how to market to millennials. So can I simplify it and just come up with 5 tips? And if those 5 tips are followed, then you know that you're probably going to be pretty successful at reaching millennials. So basically, that's what I did. So anyway, let me just get back to the slides and let's talk some more about them. But first of all, I should mention who I am. Some of you are watching me on YouTube, and some of you have probably found me through my blogs and on my website. But if you found me on YouTube, you probably really don't know who I am. I'm Penny Redman. I'm the founder of Futura Marketing, digital marketing. And we have been around for over 14 years. And just recently I thought, you know what, I've done lots of one-on-ones, but I really feel as though I want to be able to spread my knowledge, my experience, and be able to give it to small and medium businesses. And this is certainly one way of being able to do it. Let's just go right to the slides. I'm going to talk to you about some more information on how we get to the tips and a couple of examples. So here we go. Okay, and this is just reiterating what I already mentioned to you about reaching millennials to strengthen your brand. And okay, and I also talked to you briefly about, there's Paul Rogers and Taylor Swift. I didn't mention their names, but I went to a concert a couple of weeks ago, and these were people that were going and reaching different markets. And I liked the idea because it just gave me it just said and spelt it out so loudly on what was expected years ago in marketing and which was acceptable to certain target groups, and how target groups today, millennials, expectations are so much higher than they were before. So for Paul Rogers, of course, I went on his website before going just to remind myself about who he is, what great music he has. And he was at a website. There's a listing of when he's going to be on tour, blah, blah, blah. And it was pretty basic. And I think he had a Facebook, and that's it. But it wasn't like I could interact with them. Then I went on to Taylor's, and as you all know, she has been very clever and very good at marketing from the beginning of time. She herself must be a very bright girl. I don't know her, of course. But she must also have a strong marketing team, because it definitely wouldn't just be one person that would be able to do everything that they're doing. So on her website, I loved it. First thing I noticed is that I can actually email her. I can talk to her, reach out to her specifically and say something to her that's important to me, that I want her to know. But not only is that, but she was also, you could go on Instagram, you could go on Facebook, you could go on Twitter, you could see information everywhere. You could go on YouTube, you could listen to her songs for free. It was absolutely amazing. So this particular brand, Taylor Swift, she really understands millennials. She is one, of course, but she understands also how to connect with them and what their expectations are, so that she can increase her fan base. Okay, so here's another one. I wanted to just go over another brand example that I know you go, really? They know how to touch millennials? So I don't know if you've noticed or not, but A&W has been around, of course, a long, long time. You can tell on that picture on the left. But I've noticed just recently that live in Toronto, and I've seen a lot of their storefronts open up in the city. And I'm like, that is so cool. And then I also thought, well, their advertising is really directed for millennials when they're talking about, not having additives in their meat. It's more healthier to eat. And I'm thinking, well, that's in line with some of the millennials thinking. And then I thought, I'm going to really look into this because there's more about this brand. I'm interested in who created this strategy. So I went and started on the web, searched it up, and I found on this great website, which you should really, if you're interested, it's called strategyonline.ca. They've got all kinds of information on there that's just wonderful. But anyway, they've done an interview and they quoted the Senior Director of Marketing and Brand Communications for A&W, Tom Newitt. And Tom Newitt said this in the quote: "Millennials are also proven crucial for the brand's growth. In early 2016, the company introduced a new franchise model aimed at lowering the upfront investment to open a store so that the younger demographic could build more urban locations." So not only are they reaching out to millennials in their marketing and in their food to product development, but they're even making it so millennials can actually afford to buy a franchise and position it in a place where millennials would live. Now, is that not clever? So speaking of clever, they also have an agency called Rethink. And their partner and managing director, Chelsea Stolen, this is what she said: "The philosophy of authenticity means creative that speaks to the audience on each platform specifically." Stoling notes, "We don't have a TV ad and cut it down for YouTube." Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about in these tips. You'll see that one tip is specifically directed at that. So when you decide as a company if you want to reach out to millennials, then let's go over these tips and see how you can make sure that your brand is following these tips in order to be effective. When I'm saying effective, I also mean that not only are you reaching them, but you're reaching out to them in a manner that they expect, and you're building a very strong relationship with them. So tip number one is understanding who you're building a relationship with. So a customer avatar. Now, customer avatars in the olden days, it was mostly, well, it was kind of just called customer profiles. But now they're called customer avatars, and it's because they get really in deep. You're not just going to be doing demographics, you're going to be doing psychographics. And you want to know those, the psychographics, what are they talking about, their values, their interests, what personality traits they have, what kind of attitudes they have. So you really want to nail and understand their psychographics to be able to reach to them properly. So really work on this with your brand. Make sure that you create a customer avatar that is specific to the millennials if you want to approach them or to reach them in the right manner, in the way that they think and what they would expect. And they expect to be authentic. They expect all brands to be authentic. It doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are, you've got to be authentic. You can't say that your vision or your mission is a certain thing and then find out that you really are not really following that. You're not authentic to your voice. And if millennials see that you're not authentic, then they lose trust in your brand, and then you're not going to be able to be as effective reaching out to them. And here's another one that's really tip number 3. Images and style is specific to social channels, and that's what actually Rethink, and I'm just going to make sure I got her name right because I don't want to be wrong, Chelsea Stoling for Rethink is the agency for A&W. She said this specifically about how you don't take a traditional TV ad and then just put it on YouTube. It just doesn't work. And it wouldn't work if they did it and put it on Facebook. And it wouldn't certainly work if it went on Instagram. All those social channels have a specific way of being, how to talk to it, how to show your brand. If you did Pinterest, it would be totally different than what you would do even on Facebook. And it's mostly because millennials are hanging out in different places. And when they hang out in those different places, those different social channels, their expectations are in tune with the channel and how the channel reaches out to people. So you have to really be clever to understand how the social channels work, each one of them. Tip number 4, consistently engaging. I got to tell you that when I did this, there was some concern that this is really 2 tips, consistent and engaging, or 2 tips, but really they're not. Consistent is going back to social channels. You've got to be really consistent. It means that if you decide you're going to be on Instagram, you're on Instagram. You don't go on Instagram and then 6 months later, then decide to do another post. It doesn't work that way. And then for engaging means that you're engaging with that demographic, that you're talking to them the way that they would want to talk. You're reaching out to them because they're interested in certain things. So for A&W, their values or attitudes might be for healthier eating. So they just came out with a no meat burger. So they're reaching out to the millennials in the way that is their attitude and what their expectations are. That's tip number 4. Tip number 5 is being accessible and reachable. And honestly, Taylor Swift did this so well. You can even send her an email, which I've mentioned already. This is important to millennials because they think, and they have value to add to your brand. If they can share with you what their expectation is, then you'll be a better brand for them, because they may tell you what you actually need to do in order to strengthen your brand. Like you may find, I don't know, I'm going to just guess, but A&W coming out with a meatless a hamburger, I bet you it came from those franchises that were in those urban markets, because people are probably coming in there saying, hey, don't you have a vegetarian hamburger? Like my friend and I eat meat, but I don't eat meat. Like I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan. Like give me something to eat so I can eat with my friend. So that's, so when you're accessible and reachable, that information is going to flow to you. So then you know how to get your brand even more enticing for millennials. So it's pretty important to be accessible. So I just want to go over just a couple of things. So we did the 5. So hopefully you've written them down, or you can go to my blog, Futura.ca, Futura.ca. I'll get it right. It's only my website. Why would I know the name, right? Anyway, so do go there to Futura.ca and you can get these. It's on a blog if you want to print them off or whatever you want to do. And the other thing, and I use it as a reference for me. So I just wanted to bring this all to you, and let me see if I can bring you back up here. There we go. So now at least you can see me a little bit better when I'm talking about this topic that's so important to us when we're trying to reach millennials. So please, if you have any comments or any more questions, or you'd like something answered, don't hesitate to leave your comments down below. We'll check them out. We'll make sure that we can try to answer to the best of our ability. The other thing is, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook or on Pinterest, and also do a DM on Instagram if you want to. Just give us a call out and we'll see if we can answer your questions the best that we can. So thanks everybody. I hope that you follow these 5 tips. Let me know if you have and how effective they were. Thank you.